If you've always wanted to be a writer, but you just can't get stuck into it, this little rectangle of sadness might be at least part of the reason, so let's beat it. I want to help you start a healthy writing habit by the time this video finishes, no matter if this is your first time or you're getting back into it after a break. Over the next few minutes, I'm going to try and change your mindset a little bit and take you through some accessible writing exercises that'll help you go from wanting to write to a regular writing routine. And by the way, at the end of this video, I'll link you where to go next so you can keep your routine going. So the first thing we need to do to start building a healthy and fulfilling writing habit is to acknowledge something and to let something go. There are so many distractions, notifications and headlines in today's world that claim our attention, that get in the way or make sitting down to try and write something seem somehow less important. Those things exist, and right now they are stopping us. Let's acknowledge that. What we need to let go is the idea that this is all our fault. Yes, we get distracted, but everything is designed to distract us with algorithms and AI slop and tiny little brain chemical hits all the time. It's actually not just a matter of us being weak and easily distracted. It is what these things are pretty much designed to do to us. So it's a good idea to let go of the blame on yourself for that. Berating yourself for not having started isn't helping you start. It's probably just making you feel bad and making you want to avoid writing altogether. Let's break that cycle. Letting go of that self-criticism gets us halfway, but we also need to change what we're feeding our brains before we even pick up a pen. If you're new here, I'm Kieran. I'm a writer and a freelance editor, and I want to tell you about a change I made to my life a little while back that I think could be useful. In a very manageable way, I swapped this for this. And before you dismiss the idea, there's a bit more to it than that. Here's a video I made explaining it a little better. Have a look at your screen time if you've got an iPhone or the Android equivalent, I'm sure there is one. See how many hours a day you spend staring at this small rectangle of sadness, and see if you can replace that time with reading. For me, I only use my phone now for calls, for texting, and for an alarm clock. That's it. All those other moments in the day that I was filling by opening my phone and scrolling through news or whatever, I've now replaced by carrying a book around and reading a book instead in those small moments. And it means I don't have to sit down for an hour a day and think this is my reading time. I just fill all the gaps that were already there with something that makes me feel good and benefits my writing instead of making me despair at the state of humanity. So you don't have to do exactly the same thing I did, but just think about it. You're being hit with so much digital noise and endless stimulation all day. When are you allowing your brain time to work on ideas or to dream a little bit? I feel like Sideshow Bob here appearing on your screen to tell you to look at your screen less. I'm aware of the irony, but just bear with me. Making the choice to take in something like one story instead of a million sources of information, or even just some silent reflection, will enrich your creativity and make it easier when you sit down and try to write. Since I've been doing this, I've found that it's weaned me off that annoying urge to pick up my phone every time something feels a bit hard to do or I don't know the exact path forward. Again, don't berate yourself for this. We're all a bit brainwashed at this point, I think. And what the world needs, in my opinion, is more human thought, more human creativity, more inspired individuals creating things. So let's get there and feel better while we do it. That's part one. That's how we give our minds a chance. We make some space. We let them get used to quiet instead of endless flashing lights for stimulation. The next part is the practical one. If we're building a writing routine, let's stop waiting around for it to happen and make it happen ourselves. We can get day one on our writing streak ticked off today before this video even ends, and I promise it'll be very much doable. Now your mind is probably throwing up a bunch of stuff to worry about, and now you might really want to swipe away and check your notifications. So let's give your mind some of those short-term brain chemical hits from rapid scrolling for one more moment, but for a good purpose. Let me quickly debunk some writing myths and worries that might be lurking in the back of your mind. I'm going to give myself 60 seconds to do this, so stick with me. Your writing has to be perfect. No, there's no requirement for perfection at all, and it doesn't exist in writing. If you were learning another skill like ice skating or baking bread, you wouldn't expect your first attempt to be perfect. Same applies here. People are going to judge you for wanting to be a writer. Not really. Not if you don't tell anyone, and you don't have to. You can just keep this a private thing that you do just for yourself, unless you want to share it in the comments section and promote a bit of togetherness. It's entirely something you can keep to yourself, at least while you're learning. You need to write 10 pages a day, every single day. No, you don't. Everyone has their own tolerances when it comes to writing. It's much better to write what you can manage regularly than to give up because you can't meet these mythical standards set by writers that just don't really apply to you at all. So, no. You need to get on a writing course if you're ever going to be a writer. No, writing courses can be really useful and really valuable if you are able to take them, but you absolutely don't need to. There's tons of published writers who are self-taught or who've never gone through a formal qualification. Okay, hopefully if you had any worries when I said we were going to do some writing, that's helped with that a little bit. Now let's get some work done. I promise you'll be able to do this. So what is this? What are we going to write? Sometimes that's a tough question for a writer, but today we don't even need an idea. We don't need a place to start. We don't need a plot. None of that. We're going simpler. Think of your favourite story, your favourite book, ideally, but anything will do, even a favourite genre. We're going to take that and write a few sentences within that world. But here's the catch. We're going to do it as badly as we can, on purpose. I want you to write the most trope-filled, cliched, cringy, clumsy version of that story or that character, whatever it is. The aim here is to write badly. Be silly. Make fun of writing a little bit and just have fun. You're probably wondering why I would suggest this, but there's actually a trick to it, and I'll tell you once we've done the exercise. Here's how it's going to work. In a moment, I'm going to set a timer for just 3 minutes. So open up whatever you want to type into, a notes app, a Word document, or you could write on a notepad if you prefer. I'm going to use my Bioc device today. They were kind enough to send me one to check out. This isn't sponsored at all, but there is a link in the description to learn more about this. It's essentially a distraction-free writing device that helps you concentrate and get your writing done. I think I'm going to try a sort of detective noir thing, like a really bad impression of a Raymond Chandler book. So feel free to take inspiration from your favourite stuff and absolutely roast it here if you want. It's all good fun, and I'll show you what I come up with after. If you're stuck on where to start, begin with a character from your favourite story walking into a room. Who else is there? Where are they? What are they carrying? Do they look worried or pleased? And remember, we're trying not to be good here. You don't have to finish an entire paragraph or anything. Don't worry about formatting it, punctuation, grammar, all that stuff. Forget about it. We don't need it right now. All right, get ready to write badly. Lean into it and have fun, and I'll see you in 3 minutes. Okay, so that is 3 minutes. Whether you got a few words or an entire paragraph down, the exercise is complete. Here's that trick I mentioned. Writing badly and writing well are almost the same process, really, when we think about what we're doing in our mind. We're still picking our words carefully, building a scene, taking what we imagine and creating it with words. But trying to do it badly relieves the pressure we often put on ourselves to do it well. You wrote, you engaged your brain, you hopefully avoided the urge to pick up your phone. You did it once. You can do it again. This is the start of a writing habit. Let's talk about where to go from here. Oh, and here's what I wrote, by the way. Pause for a moment if you want to read it. It's quite stupid. So it's silly. It's not at all serious. There are mistakes, but nevertheless, it's some writing. We've got the ball rolling, which is often the hardest part. We're way past halfway with one exercise to go. So let's get this done so we can tick off day 1 on our writing streak. This time will be the same process, 3 minutes again, however much you can manage to get down. But this time, we don't even need to make anything up from nothing because we've already done it. What we're going to do here is take those intentionally bad lines that we just wrote and rewrite them. We're going to take a stab at making them better, improving them. Maybe you'll dial back the detail or add a bit more perhaps, smoothen those awkward phrases, change the tone so it's a bit more intentional, patch over those cliches a little bit with something more original. Working from what we already have, we can create something better. A huge tip here is to set your sights on that. Better, not perfect. Don't lock yourself up by thinking, what's the perfect way to say this? Just shoot for better. That's all we need to do, one sentence at a time. All right, head back to your document or your notepad so you can carry on underneath. Here comes the timer again, and off we go. Okay, so that's the second exercise done. How did it go? Let me know in the comments. Was it easier to build on something that you already had than to create something out of nothing? Did it help to focus on better and not perfect? Speaking of that, here's what I had. I improved on the first version. It's not amazing, but it doesn't have to be. And the reason why it doesn't have to be perfect is because revision or self-editing is a key part of the writing process. And that's what we just practiced. So not only have you written something today and started your writing habit, but you've also practiced revision as well. A simple truth about writing is that no story comes from a writer's pen fully formed and sparkling. The first version always needs work. The second makes it better, and so on. And that's a key point of this whole pursuit for a writing habit that you can sustain. Doing the writing, coming back, doing it again and again. It doesn't matter how much or for how long you write, but showing up bit by bit is what will help you get there, and every last bit of it helps. As well as swapping out distractions for something that actively helps me keep writing, the other thing that's personally always helped me was routine. Having a defined and regular time for writing makes it so much easier to make progress. But the key thing here is to do that on your terms. Be realistic with what you can do and stick to it. Each writing session doesn't need to be too long, and whether it's every day or every week, whatever works. It could be as little as 10 or 20 minutes here and there, on the train, on your lunch break, in any downtime that you might have. You might also find if you can break the habit of filling downtime with your phone, that you'll have more mental energy to take advantage of whatever time you do have. Then when you get there, silence this, turn off those, and give that yearning inside yourself to tell stories a little bit of time to try it. It'll build, and quickly, and you'll settle in and make noticeable progress, like you did today. So go ahead and mark off day 1 or session 1 of your writing streak because you've done it. If you've got more time to write, watch this video for more motivation and more exercises. If not, add it to your watch later list and use it to check off day 2 of your streak instead. Thanks so much for watching, and happy writing.